nature nut, I'm not afraid to admit. I'm wild about the wild things and I'm proud of it. I'm just a simple case, open and shut. No doubt about it, I'm a nature nut. Today we'll go bird watching, tomorrow we'll catch toads. The next day we'll take photographs of bugs along the road. I never get the feeling that I'm in a rut. That's why I'm a nature nut. Well, I'm a nature nut, I'm not afraid to admit. I'm wild about the wild things and I'm proud of it. I'm just a simple case, open and shut. No doubt about it, I'm a nature nut. Hi there. Well, what do you say today we talk about making your own nature movies, your own nature videos? It's amazing how many naturalists, nature nuts, are into photography, not only still photography, but how many people have video cameras or old film cameras. You know, in a way, I was predestined to this career of mine because I grew up with an obsession for making my own films. This is my film legacy right here, and this was my first camera, a regular 8mm wind-up camera that I borrowed from my father. Has a beautiful sound to it, and it produced fine film. I mean, you can't buy film for that camera anymore. Wasn't exactly the best camera for wildlife because if you weren't shooting in full sunlight, you had to use these floodlights. Look at this. Watch your eyes. That's what they tell me in this business. Very difficult to watch your own eyes without a beer, but yow! Most wildlife, you'd either fry them or send them running. Not the kind of camera you need, but you can still find those kinds of old regular 8mm cameras. Very fine. Super 8 cameras were a bit of an improvement. They had batteries in them. Sorry, I'm just getting nostalgic. Before we get started on the modern way to do this, why don't we have a look at my first nature film? It's called Bird Shots. It's from my early teen period. Hope you enjoy it. Ah yes, here's where I stuck the camera through the living room curtains and I shot at the neighbor's house to get shots of sparrows and redpolls at the feeder. I hope the neighbors didn't notice the hidden camera. Nice shots. The memories, the memories. Oh, I can hardly stand the memories. Oh, there's my friend Kate in some real deep snow. Whoa, and a lynx at the game farm. How'd that get in there? Oh, and here, this is a downy woodpecker. It's out of focus, but I was very proud of this shot. And, bald eagle being attacked by gulls. Kate lives in Kansas, you know. There's a young bald... Oh, and there's... that guy is upside down by accident. Mistake. Because it's a hobby, you can take much longer than the pros do to make your movies. Now, before we start making our nature movie or a nature video or a nature tape, whatever you want to call it, we need an idea. Now that may sound easy, but actually getting the idea is something that most people forget about entirely. They get the tape first, and then they build the idea around whatever tape they happen to have acquired. What you need is to get the idea first, and then you can plan your video, your tape, your movie. You need an idea that is, it's got to be simple, so you don't get wrapped up in some huge project that's way beyond your capacity. It also has to be something that's easy to do. For example, don't choose wild wolverines as your subject. You'll never get any tape. It'll be a total waste of time. And it has to be interesting, so don't choose topics that are boring. So what can we do here? It's late fall. It's a very moody time of the year. It's getting cold. We could make one about the leaves of fall and how they fall off the trees and how bare the branches are. That'd be easy. That'd be boring too. The mighty North Saskatchewan River. It's so blue. And the blue skies of autumn. That's boring too. Gulls. Gulls on the gravel bar. They gather here before they migrate. And then the last gull goes south as the river freezes. We could call it the last gull. Oh, it's got a good emotional feel to it, doesn't it? Let's do it. Let's build on that idea. The last go. Okay, well, let's go through a quick rundown of the sorts of equipment you'll need to make nature video movies. Now, of course, you'll need a camera, or a camcorder as they call them. There are any number of different models to choose from, and it's got all the things that you need, except that you'll recall nature photography of any sort has a lot of close-ups involved in it, and it also involves a lot of telephoto, long lens photography. So you'll probably want to buy some accessory lenses as well. If I were going to do some close-up photography, even though the lens on this camera focuses right down almost to the surface of the lens, if I was going out after some little, flighty little insect, you can't get the camera that close to the insect without scaring the insect, so I add a close-up lens, a diopter as they call it, onto the front, and then the camera can stay quite some distance from the insect and you won't scare it. But of course, I'm not after insects right now. I'm after gulls. And for gulls and other birds, you need a long telephoto lens. This is my telephoto attachment, and I bought one that triples the telephoto capacity of the existing lens. You simply screw it on to the front on the filter threads, and it's such a big, heavy honking lens that it requires a bracket to support it, so it doesn't just pull the front of the camera off. And that bracket is then attached to the second most important piece of equipment that you can possibly buy, and that is a big, heavy, sturdy tripod. Don't buy one of those light ones with the flimsy legs, the ones that are easy to carry around. Buy a big, heavy brute of a tripod that's difficult to carry around, and you will benefit from that bit of sacrifice. This one also has what's called a fluid head, and a fluid head gives smooth movements to the camera. The usual sort of tripod head that they sell for still photography, it's very jerky and you won't get those smooth movements. Now there's one more thing I can recommend. This is the microphone on my camera. It's built in, and of course any microphone on the camera will pick up the sound of the camera motor. Not so good. If you want to get very crisp, clear sound, get yourself another microphone. Plug it into the microphone jack on your camera, and then you will get sound that is very crisp and clear and doesn't have the camera motor noise on it. You can put it on a microphone stand, get someone else to hold it, or you can do what the professionals do. You have a microphone on a sound boom, and there's a guy on the other end of that boom, and that's his entire job, is to make sure that the sound is perfect. Has headphones on. You wear headphones, you feel so professional, it's unbelievable. Anyway, we're also going to do some editing, but that's called post-production. Before we can do post-production, we have to do production. So let's go into production and get to work on the last go. If you need to choose between a durable camera and one with more features, choose the durable one every time. Okay, here we are on location in production for The Last Gull. I've got to tell you, there's a language to this filmmaking thing, and just like, in written language, the way you have commas and periods and sentences and paragraphs and things like that, well, there's a language to film too, and it has to do with different ways you set the lens, different ways you move the camera, how one shot comes after another, and it's quite complicated. It's worth learning. I didn't learn it myself when I started out. That's the problem with bird shots. Apart from the fact that the birds are out of focus and you can't recognize them, they're just pictures of birds, one bird after another bird. You never know where the bird is or where it's going. It's got no context. So we're gonna start here with, I'd like to get an establishing shot of the whole river and all the gulls, what we call the wide angle. So this is a wide angle, very wide. You can see me. You can see everything around me, but you can't see much detail. But at least you know where I am. I've got a nice wide shot. Now I'm gonna move in, reset the zoom control, and get a medium shot. There, now this is a medium shot. It's a bit more intimate, a bit more relaxed. You're still not getting really fine detail, but you're closer, and I'm getting a medium shot of that sandbar and all the gulls on it. Now, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put on the big telephoto and get a close-up. Now this is a close-up. It's the kind of a shot that makes you feel self-conscious. It shows a lot more detail. And you can either move the camera closer to the subject or use a long telephoto lens. That's what we're doing here. Long telephoto lens. I think that'll be a nice little sequence, don't you? Now, of course, we could add movement to these shots. And let me just tell you a little bit about camera movement. If you go up and down like this, that's called a tilt. If you go side to side, that's called a pan. And if you do it really quickly, it's a swish pan. There's another sort of movement you can add to your shot. It's called a zoom. There's usually a little zoom motor in your lens. If you push it up toward the telephoto, that's called zooming in. If you crank her back toward the wide angle, that's called zooming out. And of course, most cameras have a whole bunch of other buttons that give you other effects. Effects are good, motion is good, it's all legitimate, part of the film language, but if you use too much of it, you can succumb to effects disease. And your films will have too many weird things in them. Too many zooms, too many pans, too many... Keep it simple. Simplicity leads to elegance. And elegance is what I am trying to capture in The Last Gull. Oh, and by the way, if you're jealous of all the effects that I've got in my camera, some effects don't come in the camera. They're cheap. Anybody can do them. For example, the timeless effect of smearing petroleum jelly on the lens. And you get this beautiful kind of, you know, artsy fog effect. It's really nice. Elegant. Hello? Can you see me there? Isn't that nice? It's art. So you know, I'm a great believer in the idea that for every expensive hobby, there's an inexpensive alternative. Now, if you don't have a video camera, you don't feel like spending a couple of $1,000s on video equipment, why not go to the garage sales, see if you can find yourself an old Super 8 film camera. Super 8. My wife calls them Lucky 8. I like that even better. Maybe they'd still be around if they're called Lucky 8. Anyway, you can still get film for them. This roll of film cost me about $30, and I wouldn't pay any more than $30 if I found my old Super 8 camera at a garage sale. Look at it, beautiful thing. Nice big sound micer on her there. It's whew, what a... motor still purrs. And the other great thing, if you decide to make your nature movies with a Super 8 camera, you can take a few risks with it. You can do things that you wouldn't want to do with a $1,000 movie or video camera. For example, here's something I've always wanted to try. Saw a lion documentary once where the filmmakers didn't want to be killed by lions, so they sent their little radio-controlled truck in with a camera on top of it. Ha! Not that there are any lions around here, but you never know. This might be a fun thing to try. Give me a second, I'll get her all wired up. Once you get rare footage on tape, be sure to make a copy and to press the Erase Prevention tab on the tape cassette. Oh, this is a thing of beauty, don't you think? We're gonna give it a try here. I'll just set the lens, a little bit of focus and zoom. We'll put it on wide angle because you won't be able to aim it. And let's just test it out. I have no idea if this thing is gonna have an actual value or not, but let's test it out. Okay, now there's a golfer over there practicing his chip shots. Why don't we try it out on him? Start the camera, huh? Oh man, you can't steer this thing. Ah, it's stuck. Oh, nobody's ever gonna believe this is a good idea. Okay, smile. Look like nothing's wrong.
Okay, John, let's try it again. Take 2.
Okay, now just start the camera going. There's a golfer over there. Why don't we use him as our test subject? He'll never see it coming. Okay, lights, camera. Get that tripod out of the way. Gulls into position and action!
We're gonna make a nature movie, big adventure. It's really groovy. Leave the city back there. Forget the traffic. It's nature, red and tooth and claw, like National Geographic. I am the director, and I'm producer. The script, you know I wrote it. So, how are you, sir? Ah, yes, the music. Well, it's all my own. What do you mean my narration's overblown? Those shots of pythons looking unstable. Tape those in moose jaw off the local cable. I spliced them in there. They don't look fake. You'd never really guess we didn't see 'em at the lake. Ha ha, and there's my best one. Don't know what is it, it's a bit out of focus, but isn't it exquisite? I put the date on so's I can prove it. Hit the zoom a couple times and boy, that really moves it. I paid a lot of money for this effect. Somehow it doesn't look right. Too bad it's wrecked. That upside down thing, that's my friend Rick. Well, I juxtaposed him with a bunch of artsy sticks. Ho ho, we're gonna make a nature movie, big adventure. It's really groovy, leave the city back there. Forget the traffic, it's nature, red and tooth and claw, like National Geographic. This place was probably never seen before by human eyes. I dressed in camo and moved with the disguise. Talk about wildlife, man, it's the best. Carried my equipment 50 miles without a rest. So won't you join us for the premiere? The great and famous Nature Nuts will surely all be there. I'll have some copies in the back, they'll be for sale. Oh no, it's just a hobby, not on a professional scale. Gonna make a nature movie, big adventure. It's really groovy, leave the city back there. Forget the traffic, it's nature, red and tooth and claw, like National Geographic.
Okay, well, let's talk about editing now. You edit your videos for a couple of very good reasons. First of all, you don't want to bore all your friends showing them your crummy shots along with the good shots. And the other thing you want to do is you want to rearrange your shots so that they make for a better story and so that they work better in the context of film language. So it's actually a lot of fun editing, and it's a simple thing to do as well. Here's how I edit. I take the camera and I attach it via some cables to a second video machine, and I attach that to a television so I can see what I'm doing. And the process is quite simple. For example, let's press play on the camera. You can do it with remote controls. You don't actually have to even touch anything. And let's set this thing up on record pause, wait for a shot that we like. Oh, there's a nice one. Hit the record button. We are now recording the signal from the camera to the second video machine. We'll watch for a second here. And I think that's about enough of that shot, so I'll hit pause on the record on the second machine, and I'll skip ahead here. Let's put a little of this guy flying there. Nice, nice. Oh, I remember that moment. Beautiful moment. Nature moment. Now we'll reel it back, and I want to show you another cool feature. I press a little button called audio dubbing, which means I can add my own music and narration. It was cold on the gravel bar, very cold, and yet the gulls seemed in no hurry to make that flight, that strange flight that they'd only made one time before. Let's roll that back and see what we think of it. You have to be very critical of your own work. Don't be afraid to make changes. Do it again many times. It was cold on the gravel bar, very cold, and yet the gulls seemed in no hurry to make that flight, that strange flight that they'd only made one time before. Needs a bit of work, I think, but we're getting in the right direction. Editing. It's the duty of everyone who owns a video camera. The rules of editing are the same for home videos, professional TV, feature films, or even IMAX. Okay, well, without further ado, let's settle back, let's relax, and let's watch The Last Gull. It's a proud moment for me. Do you have those kind of proud moments? Do you have your own home nature videos? If so, why don't you send me a copy? I'd love to see them. As long as it's better than bird shots, it would be a delight. Anyway, until next time, I'm a nature nut, and I hope you are too. Roll it.
The Last Gull. It is fall, and the stark azure skies of Alberta form a frigid mantle over the tranquil valley of the mighty North Saskatchewan River. On a gravel bar, snow-white ring-billed gulls absorb the ever-weakening rays of autumnal infrared warmth. In a flash of frigid feathers, a widgeon takes flight and is gone to the south, and yet the gulls remain. On their gravel sanctuary, they are safe from the voracious carnivores that prowl the shore like mindless toy trucks. Instead of fleeing, the gulls bathe and they rest, as the world around them cools and decelerates. And then, as if Mother Nature herself had thrown a switch on her climate control panel, the flow of the river is suddenly choked with blocks of swirling, sparkling ice. With a single mind, the gulls rise into the sky and take wing until the last gull wings its way into the very winter of its avian existence.